Hello, my name is Brittany Reams, and I am presenting my WebQuest that is called Let's Tessellate. It's a WebQuest that was designed to help high school kids research real-world tessellations, and from that research they will be able to create their own tessellation. The welcome page basically describes what this WebQuest is all about, that the students will research daily life applications of tessellations, and from that research they'll be able to create their own tessellation as a group. It's for grades 9 through 12, and preferably 10 through 12 because tessellations are touched in geometry, and it's a math web quest. So the introduction basically lets the students know that we're going to be researching and discovering real-world tessellations, and from that research they will be able to make their own tessellation as a group. The task lets the students know that they will be placed into groups of 3 or 4, and they have to fill out a tessellation evaluation handout about their research about everyday tessellations. Once they're done filling out that handout, then they get to create their own tessellation as a team, print it out, and they will present it at the class at the end. The process for the students is that they will be placed into groups of 3 or 4, or depending on your class you can allow them to choose their groups. They have to print out the tessellation evaluation handout, which is below in the additional resources. So it pulls that up, and it basically asks things like name the tessellation, describe where it's found in the real world, is it regular or irregular, meaning is it made up of the same shape or is it made up of different shapes? What shapes are present, and they have to list all the shapes that are present in that tessellation, and describe any transformations you observe that are used to create the tessellation, meaning reflection, rotation, translation, things like that. Once the students print that out, they will use these 4 websites to help them find real-world tessellation applications. So like this website takes us here, and this is more of an art website, so they show different tapestries or tile work of tessellations. And there's 4 different websites that the students can utilize. Now, while they're researching, each student has to research 3 different tessellations to write about, so they have to make sure that they work together so they don't repeat any. Once the group is done filling out their handouts, they'll, as they're going, they're discussing why things are tessellations, what makes a tessellation, and after that they can go to this tessellation creator, which is pretty nifty. Once they click on the link, it will take them to this tessellation creator, and you can put any shapes that you like into this tessellation creator. You can put a square right here, you can put a square right here, you can rotate shapes, you can use this to rotate certain shapes, or you can just grab the shape, like the corner of the shape, and then the students would have to try to make it fit, because tessellations have to be perfect. And students can try to fit something in here, and the students would just keep going. They can change the colors of the shapes, which I thought was pretty cool. And then once the students are done, they will come up here. Once they've filled out fulfilled the requirements of the tessellation, they'll come up here and go to print and put all their names in, and it will print out their tessellation. Their tessellation has to be like a specific size, so they can zoom out so that they can keep creating the tessellation so that it's big enough. So they have to meet these specific guidelines, at least 4 different shapes, 4 different colors. It has to be a recurring pattern, and it has to be so big. It has to be 5 patterns vertically and 5 patterns horizontally. Once they complete their tessellation, they're going to print it out and present it at the end of the class. Each member of the group must describe at least one aspect of the team design. And then once they're done with their verbal presentation, then they'll display them in the class, on the wall, on the board, anywhere the teacher really wants. So to evaluate this WebQuest, there is a rubric that grades the students on their handout. Basically, did they fill in all the information? Is the information detailed? Did they try their best to make sure that everything was complete? Participation, did they work together well, and did they stay on task? Their team tessellation design, did they meet the requirements that were placed in front of them? Was it big enough? Things like that. And then their group presentation, did everyone contribute? Did everyone speak about at least one aspect of their project? Things like that. Their points would be out of 20. And then the conclusion page just sums up the activity and lets the students know that they did a wonderful job doing the research for the tessellations, and they discovered real-world applications and real-world places that tessellations are present. And the fact that they did that help them create their own unique tessellation. And now that they know about tessellations, they can go out into the world, point them out, talk about them, tell people about them, inform the community. The teacher page just has a description of what the WebQuest, what the goal of the WebQuest is, and the standards were experimenting with transformations in the plane and making geometric constructions. And then here are the credits for the websites that were utilized. And I hope this WebQuest is fun for students to perform as much as it was fun to make it. Thank you.